Thank you for joining us today. This morning I woke up thinking about the story of Cain and Abel, and I've got to be honest, waking up thinking about Bible stories isn't a common practice for me. But because I was waking up thinking of this story, I thought, well, perhaps God wants to say something to us through it. And so I just want to read to you part of the story. Cain and Abel are brothers, born of Adam and Eve, and Cain is the older brother and Abel is the younger one. Abel is the shepherd and Cain is the farmer of the land. And from chapter 4 in Genesis, verse 3, in the course of time Cain brought to the Lord an offering of the fruit of the ground, and Abel for his part brought the firstlings of his flock, their fat portions. And the Lord had regard for Abel and his offering, but for Cain and his offering he had no regard. So Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell. The Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry, and why has your countenance fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin is lurking at the door. Its desire is for you, but you must master it." It got me to thinking that I want God to have regard for what I bring. We don't know, because the story doesn't tell us why God had regard for Abel's offering and not for Cain's. Now, was it, we just don't know, we would be guessing. But there are a few things in here, indicates that Abel brought his firstlings, so the first of his flock, and that what God's saying in verse 7, that if you do well, will you not be accepted? And so we should bring our best, I think, is what is being said. In all situations, when we worship God, we should bring our best. This is almost the first worship war, if you like. What one person brings isn't necessarily what another would favour and prefer, but ultimately we need to be bringing our best, doing good for God. And whether that's through our financial giving, whether it's through our singing and our participation in the sung praises of God, whether it's in telling stories of our faith to others, whether it's in the way that we serve and our commitment to helping in the church, whether we're evangelists and able to share our faith easily. I want God to have regard for what I do. We need to listen to his voice. Ask him, what is it that you want? What is it that is acceptable to you? And I think it takes us back to the greatest commandment, which is part of our vision for this church. And the greatest commandment is to love God with all of our heart, all of our soul, all of our mind, and to love our neighbour as ourselves. And I think when we consider it in that way, when we love God with all of our heart, with all of our soul and all of our mind, and we love our neighbour as ourselves, then we give our absolute best. We don't accept second rate. We don't give what would pass or just scrape through, but we give our best. I remember it's a bit like when I was at college. There was one or two essays which I really didn't do my best on, and I submitted them and gave them in, but I knew that I hadn't really done a good job. And when the marks came back, it showed it. It was like the lecturers had no regard for what I'd done. They passed, but not well. But then when I really put in the effort and I really dug in and worked hard, I got good marks, and clearly the tutors, the lecturers had regard for what I had given. What can you do What works can you do? What things can you give? What ways can you worship? Giving your absolute all that God will have regard for. Don't be afraid to bring your best, because that is all that God wants from us. And we remember that he is worthy of our praises, our worship, our adoration. He's worthy of all that we have and all that we are. So let us bring our best to him and know that when we do well and do our best, he has regard for what we bring. God bless you this day. We hope to see you soon. Bye-bye for now.